lower it even goes, which makes you sleep deeper. And your son or daughter could go to bed, or grandson, granddaughter could go to bed frisky, happy, talking, and wake up the next morning dead. Because it went so low, the brain shut down, and that was it. So mom can come in, and you talk about intervention. Mom comes in, and unfortunately, prior to Genteel, would have to pry the son or daughter's hand out and test them, you know, at night. And then children being so resilient, they can go back to sleep, but, you know, it takes them 10, 15 minutes, just like it takes us. So with Genteel, one of our guarantees is that mom can come in, maybe just peel the covers back and test on the shoulder, and the child will not wake up. So that's the, and mom likes it, if nothing else for her own convenience, that she doesn't have to sit with the child and while he goes back to sleep again.
Okay. One final question, and I'll address this personally with this person, but she says that she's running her A1Cs have been between 9 and 11. And so I think you're probably going to recommend Dr. Bernstein's book again.
Right,
So,
I would. I'd like to show you, Nita, grab a Genteel. I'd like to show you, and then do you all have this in front of you?
Do you want a functioning one or just a...
It doesn't matter.
Does that Bernstein book have a picture of a tree on the cover?
Why don't you, Anita, yeah, let me just have this. Yeah, this is fun. Why don't you pull up,
Picture of the book?
yeah, a picture of the book, and maybe you can turn it around and we can
People can
show.
also walk over.
And, oh, yeah, right, you'll walk over after, but I do want to tell you, like full disclosure, I have no financial connection with Dr. Bernstein. I don't sponsor him, he doesn't sponsor me. We like the heck out of each other, but we have no business dealings. This is Genteel, and the concept of how it works is as follows. It, again, getting back as an engineer practical, if this was your surface of your skin, your capillaries can come up almost to the surface of the skin, just a little, because it's got to lubricate and supply oxygen. A little bit below that are your pain nerves. Genteel, it has a 1-2 step process. And what's amazing, you'd say, gee, you're not too bright. It took you 8 years to develop something to mechanize these two principles. One is the Genteel, when you have the lance only reaches the capillaries. It does not go so deeply as to reach the pain nerves. You would say, but that is so shallow, that's almost less than a scratch. How do you get blood out of anything so shallow? And the answer is vacuum. We're unique in that after we lance, we put vacuum over the lance site, and as every child knows that drinks a soda up through a straw, whether or not mom likes them to drink that soda, it doesn't matter, but whether every child that drinks a soda up through a straw knows that vacuum will lift liquid. So you take, and I'll explain the operation a little bit, but you just take it, put it, push the button. I don't know if you can see it pulling my skin away. That's the vacuum. So there is no pain, because you never reach the pain nerves. And you can lance anywhere on your body because the vacuum pulls it up. Now, I'm going to take it apart for a second. This is like a piston thing. You don't have to do this when you're using it. I'll show you what you do when you use it. Done. That's what took the 8 years, to make it that simple. So you didn't need 2 pistons and a whole bunch of complications. There's This is the activation button. There's a little hole in the middle of it. Your finger becomes a valve so that you push it, you push the finger, you hold your finger on it, which plugs the little hole. When you lift your finger, you'll watch this thing pop up. That releases the vacuum. Once you release the vacuum, you take it off. I'll tell you what, just grab that Johnson & Johnson box of lances and grab me a clear needle.
A clear contact tip?
Clear contact tip. On the, yeah, that's fine. Genteel does use off-the-shelf lances. I see they got droplets here. I guess was Doctor gonna talk about those, or they're just there?
No, these are just items that we have. If anybody needs supplies, they can take them home with them.
Oh, okay. Droplets good. Johnson & Johnson is good. We tend to recommend Johnson & Johnson, not necessarily because they're better, but because they're available worldwide. You put the lance in, like this, and everybody knows you twist the cap off. Can I warn you about something that we were mystified by for a long time? We did a lot of clinical studies, and all of a sudden, some people would bruise and others wouldn't, and the same person doing it the same another day wouldn't bruise. We had no idea what was making some people bruise some of the time. I don't know what got it into my head, but I said, let me look at the lances that they're done with, instead of just putting them on and throwing them in the sharps. Here's why. So simple. When they were twisting the cap off, they're talking, hey, so how you doing? I take my cap off. They were twisting them off and pulling them off at an angle, bending the needle. Without knowing it, they were bending the needle. Once we told them, hey, don't do that. When you concentrate what you're doing, just take a second, and when you twist it off, pull it straight off, not like that. Do you know that you only have to bend that needle 10 degrees to double the size of the ripping hole that it puts in you versus going straight in? And it goes in, not as a poke, it goes in as a slash. So the hole, if you do it right, the hole through your skin will allow the blood to come up like a little straw. But if you bend the needle and you come in as a slash, that blood will leak out through that slash, get under the skin, turn black and blue, and that'll account for your bruising. Be careful when you're taking the needle out to don't bend it. So I'm going to just do myself, and I can walk around, and then we'll test on you. Now, let me walk around just for a second. Can you see the drop of blood like as it's flowing up magically through the needle? See the drop of blood there? Can you see it? Yeah. Go ahead, Anita, put a test strip in, and I'll embarrass myself, probably with terrible blood sugar. You see how it... See it pull the blood up? No pain. I'll go over here. Some do, some don't. Depends on, are you on Medicare? Yes. And do you have a supplemental policy? It all depends. There's the blood. Where's the...
Hang on, I'm checking.
No, it's over. Just use the Freestyle Lite.
Oh, these here? Sorry. Oh, I see, got it.
You know what would be a fun thing to do while I'm doing that is grab the other meter. Let's test the same drop of blood with 2 meters. It should be the same, right? Now, I'm not saying it won't, but the other thing I like about the Freestyle Lite is the chirp that you can hear all over. $153. Now, we could test it with the other meter. I'm telling you, it could be 176, or it could be 111. It's just, and that what's sad about that is that affects the amount of insulin you take then. Not good. That's Genteel.
What
We
is
could,
this one?
yeah, you could put the thing in. Do we have any questions about the Genteel or anything else we've been talking about? Or any experiences you guys want to share? Because you're right on the front lines.
If you suddenly switch from doing your fingers to doing it with your arm, are you going to see a big difference? Is it going to?
No. Certainly less than meter accuracy difference.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you when you would see some difference. If, which you hardly ever test this way, if you have just eaten a big sugar load or taken your insulin, the fingers move about 15 minutes faster than alternate sites. The one site that moves the same, and I'll test again, is on your palm. Your palm, here's called the thenar, here's called the hyperthenar. There is more difference in blood sugar between one finger and another than there is between your palm and the average of your fingers. With Genteel, an excellent, yeah.
Rather than sticking yourself again, why don't you show redraw?
Yeah. Rather than, so I do want to show you one of the features that vacuum, which is Genteel, will do. So you can reverse the needle. See, there's no needle here. You can go back to the same site and the vacuum will draw blood again all day. So a person that tests multiple times a day can poke once in the morning and test all day.
The same, it won't plot over or whatever? Probably not.
Yep, that's very good.
That means 3 times 3 fingers.
That's it. And you don't have to do your fingers anyway. The other thing is,
So you just put the lancet in upside down.
yeah, we made it that way for storage reasons and for doing redraw.
Would you have to have a lancet in if you were doing a redraw?
No, it'll work just as well without it. It's just so convenient to not to have to put it down and maybe it got dirty or something like that.
When cortisol, when your cortisol comes up, is sometimes when I take it first thing in the morning, it's higher than about a half hour later. So is that because of the cortisol that raises in your body?
I'll tell you what you can try to do. You can try testing on your fingers and elsewhere on your body and see, just do this 3 days. See if you see a pattern of it's always 4%, 5% higher here than it is here. My guess is that the movement, as you're starting to move around, is circulating your blood a little better versus before you really sort of got going.
Because there could be like 20 points difference.
Yes. You know, I wanted to show you this brochure that sort of explains, and this will only take, the back of the brochure is really case studies and documents of people I did this and it worked for me.
Dr. Bernstein's name's right there on that one, if you forget his name.
Yes, he likes the Genteel. He absolutely does. Let Them Sleep is an ad that we run on Facebook, and mothers got back. Oh, it's so nice. I go in, I test my daughter, I go back to sleep. She never wakes up. But basically, this shows what I just showed about the capillary blood supply, where it just won't reach the pain nerves. Spots on your body that you can test. It's up to you and your convenience. A lot of it depends on what you're wearing that day. If you're wearing something that makes it convenient to test right here, test. Doesn't matter. And then what's included in the kit, we can show you that over there. Now, to me, the marketing people put all these things explaining how it works. My experience, and I don't mean to put the product down, I'm not. Nobody cares how it works. They care if it works. You mean I put it in, I push the button, the blood comes up. Good, that's my total knowledge. Any question about the product? We've kind of beat up on the whole subject. We've been through A1C, hey, am I bugging you by walking around?
No.
It's, all right, thanks. I get enthused, you know, I love medical research, and so I get cranked up.
How long has it been on the market?
I think we sold the first one.
First one was in June of 2014. So
14,
It's
yeah.
going on 2 years.
Right.
And it's
There's
now all over the world.
Yeah, it's interesting. Unfortunately, diabetes is not a one-country phenomenon. It's all over the world. I would guess about half of everything we sell is outside the United States, isn't it?
40%.
Yeah, 40, 50%. And there's about 10,000 of them out there.
How much does it usually cost for one?
Well, they're offering a discount here, $129 for everything. And when I say everything, it comes with a pouch, it comes with the contact tips, it comes with everything you need, a sample pack of Lancets. And it does not interfere with the meters, the test strips, so that you just do. All it does, I don't mean to put it down, but all it does is get the blood up where you can test it painlessly. That's it.
Do you know if the Oregon Health Plan covers this?
I've had people tell me that they got it covered, and I'm not sure what the form is. As all the flex plans cover it. I'm not sure if how they got it done, but I do some mentoring work, and people said I got it. They bought it, they took it, they got their doctor to check some things off, they submitted it, and it was done. Because if the doctor says this is a medical necessity,